This moment. You're here because my mother in some way has touched your lives. And as a result, we're all interconnected. So look around, look at each other. This is what life is about. This is spirit energy. Mommy's here. This is the shell, the vessel. But really what is with us is the spirit. And it's her spirit that connects us right now, bringing us to this moment. I'm welcoming everybody in the room. I'm also welcoming all of the family and friends in New York, Canada, London, Denmark, and Dubai. Welcome. Carolyn's Juve celebration of life. This is a joyous time. This is what my mother would want. Joy, energy, vibes. So we're here together to bring the vibes, Mom. Bring in the vibes for you, Carolyn, Arlene. I am tasked with, in this moment, it was really hard for me to think of what to share when in that little couple minutes that I have to talk about Carolyn as my mother. I wrote this, I wrote that, I thought about it. So many memories kept flooding in, and I there's no way for me to share them all with you. But what came to me this morning with all my notes is the word L-O-V-E, love. So letter by letter, I'm going to share a little something about my mom. My mother, Carolyn, we're talking about L, led with a light hand. She guided me very gently. However, don't be fooled by her smile, her soft-spoken voice. She was a woman of steel, when it came to certain issues. And when I would be misbehaving or doing something she didn't like, and normally you'd give the child a little tap or pinch or wring your ear. I was like, I would much rather she send me to my room, deny me television, right? But no, she'd be like, come have a seat. I need to talk to you. Oh, a lecture. The worst, lecture. Carolyn's lectures. Now, it's not like she's saying, do this, don't do that. No, they always required me to think about my actions. Process why you did what you did. How would you like it if somebody did that to you and left me there to think on it? I'm like, Mom, really? The sun is going down. I need to go outside and play. But no, that's what she did. There was one time when she felt that I asked for a piece of sweet bread with attitude. So for over 15 minutes, this woman had me coming back and forth from one room to her to ask with the correct tone. You know how difficult that is? Because one, I'm hungry. Two, she has me quite pissed off. But just go back. No, your tone is not correct. Go and come again. Going over 20 times until I adjusted my tone, asking the same question. Mommy, may I have a piece of sweet bread? Mommy, may I have a piece? Mommy, may I have, please? Mommy, may I have some sweet bread? But what was the lesson there for me? I'm 7. The lesson for me is patience, know how to talk to people. There's a certain way when you speak to people, the doors will open, you'll get everything you want. I don't know, I was reflecting on that because that was torture. By the time she was done, I wasn't hungry. I didn't care if the sweet bread got flung out the window. I could have stamped on that sweet bread. But she made me do it until she felt that my tone was adjusted. So that's L. Oh, I'm getting the Oscar rumble. O, on the go. Carolyn was always on the go. There were meetings, there was, planning friends, and she was always on the telephone. Like a teenager, I could never get in to make a call because there was Mommy lolled off on the bed, either talking politics with somebody or just laughing with her mouth open and her head thrown back. That's my mom. All right, V, very, very careful, very caring, very much in love with Pan, her North Star, the music of Len Bugsy Sharp. Bird Song, Starlift, Phase 2. As you see, here's her jersey. Nothing would happen without this. My mom was also one of the first women pan players. This is from 1979. 4-pan was her pan of choice. That's my mother. V. E. Encouraging. She encouraged me to do everything I wanted. Every desire I had, she encouraged me to pursue it. E. Enjoyed life. My mother enjoyed life. She smiled from her heart. She smiled from within. And it always showed as she beamed, I'm sure, with all of you at some point in time. So now, I'd like to welcome my mom's spiritual family and talk about her as a spiritual woman. This is from one of her friends in New York. Carolyn Sampson was part of my spiritual family as a co-worker, a friend, and known as Aku. Aku is her Kemetic name. In spiritual circles, she was wise, gentle, earnest, patient, and joyful in embracing an African-centered practice that reflected her longing to understand and live out her birthright, to manifest her destiny. Aku, her Kemetic name, knew spirit transcended class, gender, skin color, hair texture, language, or place of origin. She looked for the heart/spirit of everyone she met, greeting you with openness and curiosity, bearing your shortcomings with understanding and empathy because she always was aware of her own shortcomings. And in that awareness, she was able to forgive with grace and honor. This is specifically to you, Mommy, from Segura, Faye Walker, You will be forever in her heart and morning prayers. May the ancestors embrace you. May you take your seat among them. Thank you. And with that, I would like to welcome, we go to the meditation section of our program, which would be led by Sister Indira. We will be instructed. Sister Indira is a member of the Brahma Kumaris family, as you'll see in your programs. Welcome, Sister Indira.
Good morning. Morning. Can we have a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Carolyn has been a very special person to all of us. And everyone will say especially to me, another student will say especially to me, and I will also say especially to me. I don't know, I never saw a fault in Carolyn. I just couldn't. And she helped me so much, and I'm very thankful for that. So I would like to read something of our practice because as spiritual beings, we are all God's children, we are all souls, and we come into this body to play our part. And when Carolyn came, she understood that, and she loved, and she never missed a class. Every morning, Carolyn will be here. These are some thoughts that we got from God's, teachings. And she loved this one because she came as a, student, and she focused on that. So the theme is use facilities on the basis of spiritual endeavor. Use facilities on the basis of spiritual endeavor. So our Father is addressing us and saying, sweet children, your imperishable spiritual endeavor cannot be done on the basis of physical facilities. Your sweet children, your imperishable spiritual endeavor cannot be done on the basis of perishable facilities. The facilities are only in name, for it is spiritual endeavor that is the basis of humility and all the virtues. Therefore, now give importance to spiritual endeavor. Only spiritual endeavor will enable you to achieve success. Whilst having all attainments and facilities, do not get caught up with facilities, but maintain your spiritual endeavor. Whilst having all facilities, maintain an attitude of renunciation, for only then will you be able to create the fortune of many in a short time. All of you consider yourselves to be very busy. Nevertheless, you are very free at the moment. As you progress further, you will continue to become even busier. For this, whatever time you can make available for yourself, continue to use that time in a worthwhile way by practicing for yourself and making spiritual endeavor for yourself. To belong to the Father and none other is your unbroken and firm spiritual endeavor. Because we share when we come on earth, we take bodies, go into families, we share relationships, but to belong to the one. So God is telling us to belong to the Father and none other is your unbroken and firm spiritual endeavor. This unbroken and firm spiritual endeavor will enable you to have a right to the unbroken kingdom there. If you make one or another thing your support for your progress, then when that support shakes, your zeal and enthusiasm also will shake. Just do not make it your foundation. Constantly have the relationship of your heart connected with the Father. Let your heart, mind, and intellect be focused with the Father in a state of equality. I'll reread this because we all have to practice this. Let your heart, mind, and intellect be focused with the Father in a state of equality. This is called accurate spiritual endeavor. Right? Okay, so thank you. I'll just like to say a few words like in this form of a meditation, just a few words, right? So if maybe they can come in, yeah? Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, thank you.
You can rest it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I like just everyone to be in silence and to remember God the Supreme and link with Him, and let us send light from Him to our dear sister Carolyn, and His light of all virtues that He sent to her. Thank you. Om Shanti.
I start a
I'd like to invite Gregory Russo to give a tribute to my mother. He'll be then followed by Cecil Paul.
Pleasant good morning to all gathered here in solidarity with Sister Sampson. It is indeed an honor and privilege to have been asked by Leslie and the Sampson family to pay this tribute to Carolyn. And I simply call it the Carolyn that I knew. In life, there are some people who go through life doing the normal things like going to work, partying, liming, and attending to their personal and family needs. And then there are others who, in addition to doing all of the above, these special persons possess what I will describe as having a social conscience. It is in this special group that Carolyn belonged. I had the pleasure and honor of meeting Comrade Sampson when I was appointed as the Labor Relations Officer with responsibility for Lever Brothers branch of the OWTU. Carolyn's obsession with the struggle of workers for peace, bread, and justice influenced her decision to serve in various capacities of shop steward, education and research officer, and branch president. It is in this capacity that this cool, calm sister consistently demonstrated what I described as her social conscience. You see, in the 60s and 70s, in the Texaco branch of the OWTU, who some of us now know as Petrotrin, they were the leaders in determining and influencing what wages, salaries, and terms and conditions of employment were enjoyed by unionized workers in the OWTU and other unionized workers. However, from the early 70s and up to the 90s, the Lever Brothers branch took on that mantle of leadership that hundreds of workers benefited from. It is in that critical period of our history that Carolyn's legacy and leadership must be viewed, celebrated, and recognized. During her period of unconditional quality service and sacrifice, workers were able to not just enjoy fair wages and terms and conditions of employment, but also secure and preserve the benefits when they came under threat. Carolyn clearly understood that the workers of Levers deserve, as of right, a fair share of the profits generated by their labor, and as a consequence, she dedicated her working life for that noble and worthy cause. As mentioned earlier, Lever Brothers branch, through their many red armbands, picket lines, strikes, and solidarity demonstrations, were able to set the benchmarks out of which hundreds of workers benefited. Many companies and even the government as an employer waited on Lever's negotiations to be settled before settling their own collective agreements. Even at the Ministry of Labor and the Industrial Court, Lever's collective agreements were used to support the various arguments and proposals by non-unionized and unionized workers in Trinidad and Tobago. And funny enough, there were even some managers, senior and otherwise, at Lever Brothers, who would wait to see whether the workers get $10 because they know they were sure to get 15 after that. It is in this context that the cool, calm leadership of Comrade Carolyn must be valued and cherished. Yes, the workers of Geddes Grant, CPI, Metal Box, Bermudas, National Petroleum, Crown Reef, meat processors, printing and packaging, just to name a few, they all owe this sister a huge debt of gratitude for the unwavering solidarity she shared in their own struggles for peace, bread, and justice. During her active period in the OWTU, she rarely missed a Labor Day in Faizabad or holding a placard in the very many picket lines and strike camps of workers other than the Lever Brothers' own struggles. You see, she embraced the notion that a blow to one was a blow to all, and that solidarity must be forever if hard-won benefits are to be protected. It was her leadership in the Education and Research Committee that provided the negotiating team with all of the valuable information needed to support the various demands and proposals for improved benefits. Many times I would boast that I learned industrial relations in some of the leading universities along the East-West corridor. When pressed for an example, I would proudly say the University of the Lever Brothers production lines and offices located in Champlain. You see, it was there that I was taught by the many activists and branch leaders like Teddy, Gary deceased, Monica and Vernon de Leon, Janice Maurice deceased, Sister Privat deceased, Pint Blandin, Elvin Francis, Joseph O'Connor, Maynard, Pamela Mohan, Annie Ramsawak, Stroud, O'Neill deceased, Cynthia Graves, Rock, Glenda Aguilera, Tony Innes, and of course, Sister Carolyn Sampson. Forgive me for leaving out the very many others who stood tall and contributed. So Carolyn, on behalf of all of the workers in Trinidad and Tobago, and in particular, your beloved Lever Brothers workers, and on my own behalf, thank you, sister, for your invaluable contributions and sacrifice to our lives and livelihoods. And to all unionized and non-unionized workers in particular, who today enjoy salaries, wages, and other benefits, some of which are taken for granted, remember to thank and appreciate the role and contributions of Comrade Carolyn Sampson. Sister, when the history of the OWTU and the trade union movement is updated and written, provided the author does not cheat on history, your contribution will occupy a special chapter on those who sacrificed, struggled, and took a stand for peace, bread, and justice. To your daughter, Leslie, thanks for lending us your mother during the many years of meetings, negotiations, strike camps, and picket lines. Long live the legacy of Comrade Carolyn Sampson. Solidarity forever. Permit me to just share briefly a few comments by Vernon de Leon, her lifelong friend, who remained at her side forever. And these are just some points that Vernon shared with me. She was the quintessential and well-respected community, workplace, and national activist. Participated in 1970 demonstrations. One of two persons who organized monthly rated lever workers to join OWTU. Organized the branch's Education and Research Committee, and together with Pamela Mohan and Vernon de Leon, birthed and named the branch bulletin Wrap Out. Mobilized funding for the purchase of a typewriter, the equivalent of today's computer, for the exclusive use by the Lever Brothers branch. Life member and former player of Phase 2. Actively supported the activism of Tacarigua community to reserve the use of the Etihad ground for the community. Extended struggle to her own Aranguez community when it was discovered that similar displacement of community use was planned. Those are just some of the views of Carolyn Sampson. Thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. My name is Cecil Paul. I was a very good friend and comrade of Carolyn Sampson. I first met Carolyn when, as a young trade union officer in the 1980s, I was assigned by the union to negotiate a new wage agreement between the OWTU and Lever Brothers, where Carolyn was employed as an accountant. Carolyn, as a member of OWTU, provided the negotiating team with valuable assistance in this wage dispute, which led to a long strike, very long strike, arrest of several of us, but in the end provided several improved and new benefits to the workers of Lever Brothers. After that long struggle, many of us became lifelong friends and extended our activities to politics, steel band, and education and training of young union members. So Carolyn was no ordinary trade union member. She was a leader, a teacher, an advisor, and a major contributor to the development of one of the greatest periods of the trade union movement in Trinidad and Tobago. On behalf of former and present trade union colleagues, we thank Carolyn for her valuable contribution to the trade union movement and offer our condolences to her daughter and the rest of her family. May Carolyn rest in peace.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I think we all have opinions about what constitutes friendship. Recently, I came across 3 statements which reflect the quality of my relationship with Carol in 3 stages of our lives. We met in 1953 as new students at Bishop Anstey High School. And unlike friends who lived in Port of Spain and who could walk or ride together to and from school every day, we couldn't meet after school or on weekends. Carolyn lived in Mount Lambert, I lived in Tunapuna, and our third best friend, Annette Jessamy Campbell, who is there, she lived in El Socorro. But I don't think there was a single day during those 7 years at Bishop's that we did not spend substantial time in each other's company. And that brings me to the first quotation. When friendships are real, they are not glass threads or frost work, but the solidest things we know. In the second stage, on leaving school, our lives took different turns. Carol went to England, Annette went to Jamaica, I went to Canada. But whenever we met, the talk and the laughter were readily rekindled. And this second quotation, growing apart does not change the fact that for a long time we grew side by side. By 2000, we were once again in Trinidad, now much older. Remember, we are not today people, Carolyn and Annette and I. We much older, we don't see, we were not able to get together perhaps as much as we would have liked. And the third quotation, time doesn't take away from friendship, nor does separation. You may see some friends every day. You may have other friends you don't see often or don't see at all anymore. In your heart, however, You may know that they are there for you, are thinking about you, and love you even though they are not physically together. You are not physically together. So I take this opportunity to thank Carol for the love and the friendship and the caring and the integrity and the wonderful person she was and what she gave to me as a lifelong friend. Thank you.
And there you go. That was my godmother, Auntie Marjorie, you know. I'll open the floor now while we're waiting for Bugsy and Damien to come in. To anyone who would just like to come up and say something. We have a couple minutes. Here we have her dear, dear, dear friend, Vernon de Leon.
Morning, everyone. You know, as you go through life or as you reflect on your life, there are certain people who have a very telling impact on you as a person. You know, as I reflect on my own life, Carolyn Sampson is responsible for who I am today as a person. Right? I was involved in the trade union movement. Presently, I am doing consultancy as an industrial relations personnel. And when I left school and I came into Lever Brothers, I was known, and I look at my reports, you know, a very quiet person. And afterwards, when my friends saw me on the picket line, they wanted to know if that was the same Vernon de Leon, whom they knew at school. And Carolyn was responsible for that. Right? Carolyn impacted me, my consciousness, and she is the one who was responsible for me going into the trade union movement and even being in the career that I practice today. Right? In addition to which, Carolyn impacted me morally as a person, right? She changed my perspective. You know, when you are at that young age, you know, you feel you're a hero and you want as many women as you can. But Carolyn taught me to respect women, right? And she impacted me, as I said before, in very, very telling ways that when I look back, if I had not met Carolyn, I would not be the person whom I am today, and I want to thank her for that impact in my life.
Anybody else? We may have another minute. I think while Damien is setting up, maybe I will invite Nyasha Lane Ford, one of the twins. Anu, your sister is here. I know you are here as well. This Anu and Nishi are mommy's twins. Everybody knows the twins. The twins. Welcome, Nyasha.
Morning, everyone. Don't interfere with this. Right. So I am Nyasha, one of Auntie Carol's twins, as Leslie rightly said, yes. Speaking on behalf of Janice, we'll call her Kalauti today, mommy, and my twin sister, Anuska. How humbling it is today to be given the opportunity to speak about our dear Granny Carol. Proud to be able to say how much she meant to us as a family. Now I know some of you all are wondering, she just say auntie or Granny? Which one she going with? So let me explain. Mommy always said, when Anuska and Nyasha came into this world, guess who was the first person to hold them? Anybody want to guess? It was Auntie Carol. She said from early on, Auntie Carol said, Janice, we have to do whatever we have to do for these girls. It was her mission, you know? So this she vowed, and she never wavered. She was a constant presence over time. And we have fond memories of that little white car pulling into the yard in Maracas Valley. Well, if she said she was coming at around 3, we knew that she was really coming at around 5, right? Always happy when she visited. Auntie Carol reach, Auntie Carol reach. All our school friends knew Auntie Carol. All. They were like, Auntie Carol, seen her in the road. Auntie Carol, everybody knew who she was. Over the years, she watched us grow, and it seems to me like she was there for every milestone. Even though she was not physically in Trinidad all the time for every milestone, we often felt as if she was there for everything. She really was part of everything. And if we ever had a problem, she would say, don't worry about that, man. No problem was ever too big to overcome in her eyes. She was proud when we started playing pan, proud for every tour we went on. Every time we came back from Japan or wherever, we would have to stop off and stay by Auntie Carol for a bit. She was proud when we went to university, proud seeing us grow up. So it was a natural progression when we had children of our own that now they inherited another granny. As they all arrived, Christian was first, Caden second, Nikosi and Aura, Caden's son Aura, there in Dubai. She was now known as Granny Carol, so she held a new title. Granny Carol was the same as Auntie Carol. The same love that we felt from early on, well, they were now recipients of it. For them, a visit from Granny Carol was a special pause to chat about things that were of interest to them, catch up on new developments like how big they were getting, and she was just proud of seeing them grow and wanted to hear from each of them individually about what was going on in their little big lives. For my boys and I, later on in her life, a visit to Granny Carol became synonymous with 2 words: ice cream. We never went to her house without her, now she had to dictate, ending the visit with a trip to her favorite ice cream place in St. James. Declining was not really an option. It was a tradition that sat just well with them. And me too. Now our kids are 21, 20, 15, and 15. And I know the pride she felt for their milestones was immense, even though she mightn't be able to verbalize it sometimes. But we would always inform her and give a full report. Jose and I will definitely miss our visits with her.
Safe travels. Godspeed until we meet again. We love you very, very much. Our dear, dear, you have to say it,
Granny Carol.
I think we should invite my mother's one and only godson to speak now, because I think after that, once Bugsy and Damien and Aginola and Christian comes back, I think we'll just fet out the rest of the time. So this is my god brother, Marlon De Leon.
Pleasant good morning to everyone. My sincere condolences to Les. And of course, family, friends, well-wishers. My name is Marlon Vernon Tika De Leon. Of course, everybody know where the Vernon came from. But most persons don't know where the Tika came from. And that was from Auntie Carol. I still don't know the full meaning of Tika yet. All right? But I know it's something special, something powerful, and it's something I've always embraced. I've always made sure I had my initials in my middle name, and there are some persons who refer to me just as Tika, so I'm very, very proud of that. Most persons don't know that there was a time in my life I used to write a lot of poetry. Nobody don't know that. I think only my son, Tamara, the eldest one, knows that. So he writes a lot of poetry as well. So I decided to, go back into the archives and try to write something nice in honor of Auntie Carol. Right? So here goes. And this is my tribute to my special Auntie Carol. In the quiet of this moment, this morning, we gather here today to honor a gentle spirit who has now found her way. With every laugh, I could still hear her laugh in my head. She had a beautiful laugh. With every laugh and whisper, she filled our hearts with light, a beacon of compassion, a soul so warm and bright. Her hands were filled with kindness. Her heart was pure and true. In every cherished memory, she leaves a part of you. The lessons that she taught me in her soft and guiding way will echo in my life every single day. Her courage and her wisdom, a legacy of grace in our hearts, she will live forever in every warm embrace. Though today we say goodbye and tears may fall like rain, we celebrate her journey beyond this world of pain. For in the realm of spirit, she dances bright and free, a guardian watching over forever here with me. So let us hold her close in the stories that we share, in the laughter and the love. She will always be right there. A godmother, a mentor, a friend who understood. In every heart she touched, her spirit lives for good. Rest now, dear Auntie Carol, in the peace of endless skies, for in our hearts you linger as soft as lullabies. Though we part in sorrow, we find solace in the truth. Your love will guide us onward, forever in our youth. So rest in peace, Auntie Carol. I love you, and thank you for everything. Thank you.
I think he should start, publishing some of these poems. I think there's something in there for you, Marlon. All right, so bring up the music. A little bit here. Bring up the energy. We have about 10 minutes left on our lovely time here. And I'd like to invite none other than my mother's North Star, Len Bugsy Sharp, to rattle his wrists with dear Damien and Ajibola. If you'd like to, you can. Bring it down. And wherever Bugsy takes us, we will follow his moment right now.
for me. That's my sister. Carol is such a beautiful soul to me because she live next to each other in St. James too. You know, I'll try my best. It just hard for me. Thank you all for coming out, Wesley. Thank you. Thank you.
one more from none other. Tommy's books. So guys, I should have got it. Let's lives in us all. She touched all our lives. So I guess, we have just remember the grace and charm, love, and love. Yes. I don't want to be here, so I'm going to leave.